Hey guys, Christian here. I'm going to be giving you another series of things God's given me, prophetic word regarding the market crash. This is a video that I've already uploaded a video a couple months back about a market crash, and this is the same video basically. There's some new pieces to it, but also I'm extracting a piece that I had put up in the previous video, and let me explain that. In the previous video I talked about the market crash, and then I talked about individual companies that I had seen, and those are the parts that I'm removing, the individual company parts, because I don't want anybody to view it as investment advice or something of that nature. So I'm going to go ahead and remove those parts and try to make it just so you understand there's a market crash coming. I'm not trying to give you any investment advice or anything of that nature. I'm not trying to tell you what companies to buy or anything like that. This is just my job as a prophet. Is God tells me something, I tell you. That's it. The main thing is to understand whatever God does to me, He's going to do to the church. Okay, so let's talk about this. First and foremost, there's going to be a market crash. There's been several different ways that God has shown it to me, and I will explain them to you the best I can. And then that information is important to you. And now, again, if you have knowledge of a market crash, but you do not know the day or the time it's going to happen, how helpful can that really be? Well, it can be very helpful, because those situations, great market crashes, create wealth transfer opportunities, and that's really what this is about. Basically, the point that you should get from this, no matter how bleak the market will look, there are opportunities in there. It's not the end of the world kind of thing, and there's always somebody screaming it is, but it's not, and it's every single case that God has shown me. It is a massive crash, and then I'm supposed to buy. I'm supposed to buy in particular companies. And so it's important that you understand that's really what this is about. God's telling you before it happens, this is going to happen, and He's causing this, and then it's going to be an opportunity for His people, right? Okay, and anybody who's listening to wisdom and not just following the crowd and you know, like chickens with their head cut off. Anyway, the main thing here about the market crash has been something that God has been talking to me about for a while now, and recently, I'd say the past year, it picked up in tempo. We started getting more dreams and things like that about this thing, and so it's important that I bring the information out to you. Again, I do not know the time or the season this thing's going to happen in. I just know God said it. I'm going to tell you, and that's all I can do for you. Okay, and it's important again that we explain that anything that, anytime God says anything negative He's going to do to a people or a person or anything like that, those things do not have to be. And these are like punishments, or I don't want to say punishments. These are technically punishments. They're whenever people start to leave or deviate from God's plan or God's way, He starts to smack them. That's just what God does. It's in the Bible. So anyway, whenever you hear a prophet talking about, you know, these are the woes that are coming on the nation or something like that, they don't have to be. If the nation would turn and say, okay, you know what, we've been messing up, we're going to go another way. There's various different scenarios in the Bible where Jonah, he goes and he talks to Nineveh and says, you know, this is what God says, and then they turn, right? And that was fine. If they turn, God says, okay, I'm not going to smack them down. However, you know, some years later, Nineveh goes back to their old ways, and God smacks them down. So the thing to point out is these things don't have to be, all right? Right now, everything God's showing me is still saying it's on the table. It's still coming down the pipeline. So I just want to point that out. Anytime that you have a prophet, myself or anyone else included, telling you that these are the negative things that God's going to do, they don't have to be. They can be averted in, I won't say all cases, because there have been cases where God says you can't even get out from under this thing He's going to do. But in this particular case, and several of the other things that I've seen, they don't have to be, okay? All right, let's get back to the point. And the point is there's a market crash coming. It's a massive market crash, and there's been various different ways God has shown it to me. The most current ones have been, I know it's coming. I'm looking at a chart. I'm looking at market charts in my dreams. As an investor, like I said, for the past 12 years I've been into the market. I know the market a lot better than I did when I first started, and I understand technical analysis and things like that. So whenever I have dreams about the market, oftentimes God will simply just show me a chart and say, that's a chart, and I'll glean something from that information He's showing me on the chart. And if God were to show you the same chart, you wouldn't get it unless you had the knowledge that I have. You know, God talks to you in different ways because He's trying to communicate information to you. Maybe you're a farmer and God would talk to you in farm vernacular that I would not understand in any way, shape, or form. That's just how God does it. When He's trying to explain something to you, He'll talk to you in a way that you will understand. So, regarding the chart, so the chart that I saw, it was moving to the upside, and I knew it was going to be crashing. I didn't know when. I was just kind of watching, and I was wearing a suit, and I was talking in the chat kind of scenario, talking to investors and traders, and I was discussing that we knew it was coming, and I anticipated it would be some distance further, but I knew it was coming, right? Well, all of a sudden, a sell signal forms earlier than I had anticipated, and this sell signal was what I was looking for, but it moves so fast from that sell signal that I could not respond to it. And the only thing I could do in the dream was say, now, 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 5 different times, louder every single time. And the market began to fall, a massive move to the downside, and then a bigger move than the one before that to the downside, and then an even bigger one, and so forth and so on. And it fell so fast that at that point, I thought it was over. It was such a big, massive crash that I thought certainly that was it. You know, I just missed this humongous market opportunity to be on the sell side, or at least to be in cash and take advantage of at the bottom, well, however you want to analyze it. But I had looked at it as being, it was so big, I just thought, okay, it's over. I've missed it. And at that point, I saw that the market moved sideways for a small amount of time. Again, I couldn't tell you the amount of time, only that it was a small amount of time. And then it started to press lower. Now, when I say it moved sideways, I mean it moved sideways. Just it came crashing down, and then it just kind of moved like this, and then it started to press through that low. And as it pressed lower, it kept going lower and lower and lower. By the time we hit the bottom, looking back, that second leg lower made the first drop that I had originally thought, well, this is over, made it look small. So there is a massive crash coming. I don't think we've ever seen anything like it. At least I haven't. So it's important to note. Now, does this have anything to do with 2008, the market crash that we saw there? The dreams that I've had about this crash have come after the 2008 crash. So no, this is not the 2008 crash that I'm talking about. This is something else, something that's devastating. There's some other pieces of information as well. Because I know this crash is coming, because I know some bits about fundamental analysis and things like that. One of the books I was reading at the time was talking about buying smaller companies and things like that. And so I got to thinking about, well, when this crash comes, maybe then I could take advantage of small cap companies, like the Russell 2000 small cap index, things like that, where you'd have lots of companies that would be really, really underpriced and small and still healthy and things like that. And so I started kind of on my own time looking into these things, Well, then one night I went to bed and I was thinking about that, and I fell asleep, and I had this dream. And in the dream, I saw small cap companies were trading for a penny, literally 1 and 2 pennies per share. I don't know what could cause a market crash to that degree, to where companies that, you have small cap companies in the Russell that run between 20, 30, $10 a share and lower, but for them to be trading at a penny a share, that's as though everybody assumes that there is no longer a viable business here. There's nothing there. That is a devastating market crash that I've never even fathomed to that kind of a degree. So I will not be doing that. I'll be sticking with the mid-cap companies. More of a Warren Buffett kind of strategy. Anyway, the main thing here is to point out that this crash is much larger than I have ever seen or even fathomed. And oftentimes when I pray about it, God's words to me are, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. So it's so big that I can't fathom it. And I remember this kind of feeling I was going through back in the 2008 crash time period, 2007, 2008. That time period, God often told me things that were going to happen about individual companies, and then I would get involved in those companies because of that information. However, the information He would tell me about this is going to fall this far. So I was just like, okay, I believe that you're God, everything, but that seems like a long, long way from. It wasn't within my realm of my historical expectations. I have been in the market for years now, and so for me, it was like, I know what an average move of a market is, and I know what the average move of an individual company is. So to see the kind of things He was talking about in 2008 just didn't register true to me. didn't ring true to me. I don't know why I'm going off, but just a big point being that this isn't something that, oh yeah, you've experienced in 2008, therefore this is going to be normal for you. No, 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 no. This is something, it's massive. So yeah, that's just something to take note of. It's going to be very, very large. It's going to create a great deal of opportunities, and it's something that you should know beforehand, okay? Okay, so I'm going to try to pass on some of the information to you. Again, I understand charts, technical analysis, things like that, so for me this information means a lot more than it will to you perhaps, but just to kind of share a little more with you. And remember, I have no time relation on when I'm looking at a chart. I do not see on the charts any amount of time or any prices, so I can't look at that and say, well, not any prices, but let me explain to you this way. All right, this right here is my dry erase board, okay? And I'm going to try and draw this out for you. This is, we'll just say this is a chart, right? And it's doing this kind of a number here. And then all of a sudden, we do this. All right, this is a massive crash, right? Okay, and with this line here, we really can't see the bottom of that, okay? So we just like that in a dream. All right, so what we have here is this massive crash. The main thing to point out about this massive crash that we're seeing right here that God is showing me is that it's very, very sharp, and it's immediate, just boom, straight down, okay? And it's so big that I think it's over. I've missed this humongous, great opportunity to be either a seller or, to have gotten in before this thing had happened on the sell side. And so I feel that I have missed it, and it tells me a couple of things. Number one, it moves really, really fast, and number two, it will be massive, so big that I think it's over, all right? And that's important. Now, what happens next, the market does this, okay? So it just kind of goes into what we call a channel or whatnot, right? And it's not to say that there's going to be 4 highs or nothing like that, just to show you that it moves in a sideways pattern for a small amount of time. Then it does this, right like that, okay? And it just falls. And the main thing here is to show that it takes out the previous lows, and that from a technical perspective says that we haven't hit actual bottom. It looks like you have in the dream for a short period of time where you're just kind of moving sideways, but when you press through and you hit lower, you start moving lower, at that point you prove that this is not a bottom and you're starting to move lower. What happens next? It starts to grow and get worse. It's not as sharp as the initial drop, but what comes next will end up making that initial drop that I had originally thought was the end of this market crash. It will prove it to be just a very small move lower. Okay, so that's trying to give you some sense of what God was showing me. Okay, and so anyway, there's a massive, massive crash coming. The first leg of it, meaning that first move right there, is going to that first leg will be very sharp and surprise a lot of people, and it will be massive. It will catch a lot of people off guard. If that were me, if I had been long at that time, I would have thought, well, it's over. Okay, the worst is past, and that's what I thought in the dream, was that it was over. So yeah, but it's not. It's going to get much, much worse. Okay. Okay, one last point that I want to bring out here. I know this sounds like a really, really bad scenario, and when I first had the dream about the small caps trading at pennies, I was like, well, what's it going to matter what I buy? It's going to be horrible. And I was really concerned with that. And then I read in Scripture where it was talking about as long as the world turns, there will be a seed time and a harvest time. And for an investor, seed time is where you go out and you put your money out there. You buy up companies. And of course the harvest would be when they come back. So it's important that you understand that this is not the end of the world scenario. It's an opportunity. And that's what that is. If you're on the right side of God, if you're walking where you're supposed to be walking, then you're blessed whenever that comes. But the Word of God is a double-edged sword, and so there's another side to that as well. And if you're not walking where you're supposed to be, man, you get cut down. And I can tell you that from personal experience, and I can tell you that from biblical examples again and again. And that's the main thing. If you watch any of my other videos, you know that what you're supposed to be doing right now is seek ye first the kingdom of God, His righteousness, and all else will be added unto you. Okay? God bless. Take care.